welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens and this is English Nerd. So 'tis the season to start going back to school, and for many incoming seniors anyway, it's the time to start thinking about college applications, specifically the college application essay. So this video is not going to deal with the entire application. You can figure out those pieces on your own, but I've been around long enough to know that there are some really helpful hints about making your college application essay really strong so that it stands out to the admissions people. So first of all, I want to talk about two challenges that a lot of people mention when they are thinking about writing a college application essay. Number one, the prompts are really boring. And that's true. That's true so much of the time. They're so broad, like tell us your story or why do you want to go to this school, that you fall asleep halfway through reading the prompt. I get it. We'll talk about ways to make something that could potentially be very boring instead interesting. So that is the first challenge to overcome. The second thing I hear all the time is that people aren't sure how to brag about themselves, because you're supposed to make yourself look good, right? In a college application essay, you are supposed to come off as somebody who's very impressive, but especially for those who, bless you, who aren't prone to do that in real life, you don't want to come across as one of those people who's always talking about how great they are. So how do you walk that line of not coming across as a really obnoxious person, but also letting people know what your strengths are? So we'll talk about that as well. I have 7 suggestions for you to make your essay stand out. Number 1 is super basic. Read the prompt really carefully and make sure that you're actually answering every part of the prompt. It's great if you have a good essay, it's well edited, it's interesting, but if it doesn't answer the question, it's all for nothing anyway. So make sure that you follow all of the prompt, including the guidelines. Don't try to fudge word count or any of that. That is how people automatically go in rejection piles. I've heard over and over again, it's just an easy way to cut the legs out from under you, so make sure that you are following all those prompts. Number 2 is really important. You need to own your passions. Very often what a college admissions essay is going to ask for are the things that interest you, what makes you stand out. And we've all heard those stories about, somebody who grew up in an immigrant family and found out that they were a lesbian and then endured abuse but overcame and started a multi-million-dollar business or something like that. There's some really great story that a college would eat up. Your story doesn't need to be one of those kind of over-the-top stories. If you have something like that, use it. But if you were like me and you grew up in a really loving home and you went through hardships, but nothing that just sounds quite that flashy, don't be ashamed of your story, and don't be ashamed of the things that really inspire you. If you are somebody who loves My Little Pony, the rebrand, I don't understand that, and a lot of people won't understand that, but they don't have to. What is it that inspires you? What is it that makes you excited to wake up in the morning, excited to do what you enjoy doing? So own your passions. Other people don't need to also be interested in what you're interested in. I love Shakespeare. I love Dickens. Words get me all excited, and I recognize that is not everybody's story. And yet I just share the passion that I have. So I guess in that way you can just take a cue from me and own your passions. Do not be ashamed of those things that make you who you are. If the saddest thing that's ever happened to you is that your dog died, don't downplay that. That was something that was really difficult for you. Just be who you are. So come to terms with that. That's my second piece of advice. Number 3 is that you need to start off with a bang. I would strongly suggest that you start off with something other than restating the prompt. Restating the prompt at the beginning is something that you do in 6th grade. It's not something that you do when you are ready to go to college and you want your essay to stand out. So start off with something that is specific. Think about a hook you can use, or, don't make it super gimmicky, but start off with something that is going to grab the reader's attention right off the bat. Think about how many essays these college admissions workers look at on a daily basis. It is a ton, depending on where you want to go. If you're applying to a particularly competitive college, this is especially true. Catch the attention of the person with the first sentence. Number 4, I've said this before and I will continue saying it over and over again. You have to be specific. If you use vague words like interesting, amazing, things, stuff, was, just that really basic kind of language, it's going to get boring really fast. And we're already working with a prompt that is in all likelihood a pretty boring prompt. So be as specific as you can. I know it's a little scary because if you only have 300 words or something to get across your point, it seems frightening maybe to just tell a really small part of your story. What if people aren't getting all of who you are? Of course they're not getting all of who you are. You can't be distilled down into 300 words, but they can get an accurate snapshot of who you are the more specific you choose to be. So use specific language, talk about specific moments. Don't talk about how you're hardworking. Illustrate how you are a hardworking person. Describe the night that you had to write 3 papers and what did you do to overcome that difficulty and work your butt off for, an A on each one, or whatever your success story is. Be as specific as possible. Okay, number 5 is a tip for anybody who does find it challenging to brag about themselves. Something that I find helpful is to think about yourself as a character. Now, what I'm not saying at all is that you should lie. Absolutely not. Truthfulness is paramount just in writing, in life. Always be honest, always. But if you think about yourself as a character, as a first-person narrator, it can give you a wall of separation in your mind between what you're writing and who you are, so you can be a little bit freer to describe the merits of this person without feeling like you're being braggy or over the top. So I know it's just a small sort of mind shift, but at least for me, this has been something very helpful to put a little bit of distance between what I'm saying about myself and how I would speak in real life. Number 6 is don't regurgitate your resume. In all likelihood, in the rest of your college application, you have talked about all the sports, all the musicals, all the grades, all the awards, all the programs, all the things that you've been involved in, and that's fantastic. If you want to just nod to those things in your essay, that's okay, but do not restate all those things. They've already been placed in your college application somewhere. This is not a time for you to talk about those things. The college application essay is largely for the people to get to know who you are. Would you, as a person, personality, your passions, the sort of man or woman that you are becoming, would you fit into this college and would you have something to offer? Just giving the same information again is not going to provide that kind of insight into who you are as a person. So make sure that you leave out the vast majority of your resume and instead focus on those things that highlight your personality, your character traits, and some of those less tangible items that have not yet shown up in your application. The 7th and final suggestion that I have for you, and this is a strong suggestion, very strong suggestion, is to edit. Don't wait till the last second to do this essay. This is one of the most important essays of your academic career, even though it is sort of odd and sort of short, it is going to make a bigger difference than a lot of other writing that you've done throughout high school. So don't wait till the last minute. Get a draft ready and then show it to somebody who can provide some really good feedback. Show it to your teacher. Show it to another student that you know is maybe further down the good writing path than you are. And get some of their ideas. What's working, what's not working, and then go back and rework it. If you have time, give it to other people for even more feedback. The more trusted feedback you can get, the better. But editing is not a step that you can skip. You, at the bare bones minimum, need to go through and make sure that your mechanics are pristine. Do you have your commas in the right place? Did you put the E before I in that weird word? Is it a clean copy? If it's not, then that automatically gives you gives a strike against you in the eyes of these college admissions people. Is it a death sentence? Not necessarily, but you want to put your absolute best foot forward, and that is an essential way of doing that. It shows that you care enough about going to this college to make sure everything is in place. It shows that you know what you're doing. It just speaks much more highly of you than if you leave all those errors in. So that's all I have for you. I know that these are pretty broad, but then there needs to be some room for you to just be you in this essay. If you have any questions at all, make sure to put them in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want any other tips, tricks, or just English nerdiness in general, be sure to subscribe. I post new videos on Mondays, so I'll see you then.